All right. Okay. The number one skill you must master for your SMMA. So, what is this number one skill that I'm referring to? So, as you might have already guessed, the number one skill is not Facebook ads. It is not social media marketing. It is not any of those things that are more on the technical side that you might think you need. It's actually sales. So, sales. It's the most important thing in business. It really is. The way I like to think about it is it's the backbone of your agency. It's the foundation from which it's built. Like it's so important. I can't even like stress how important it is, because really it comes down to this, and this is something that has always stuck with me. I don't remember who exactly said it, but nothing really happens until someone is closed. Like that goes in not just business, but like really any part of like the world, like the world we live in. Like nothing happens until like someone gets closed. Like there needs to be some sort of shift, and someone needs to take action on something. So that that stuff doesn't just really happen on its own. Like that's why we have like presidents and people and like politicians and like people who are closers, people who are out there selling, closing in some sense to get people to take action. And so that's why I think it's really the highest paid skill in the marketplace, and not just for people who are solely closers, but agency owners who are closing for their business. It's really the highest paid skill for you too, because just like a small percentage in increasing your closing ratio, it's like it's gonna do like a ton, right? Improving your sales skills, it just like increases the amount of money in your bank account. So it's really something I can't stress enough, how much of a valuable skill it is for your social media marketing agency, but also for yourself as well. If you decide that maybe down the line you're going to sell your agency, you'll always have that skill of being able to close, and it's going to translate into every area of your life, not just business. It's something that it's really a mindset, a way of a lifestyle that's going to allow you to have a certain understanding and really help you in other areas of life as well. And so I by no means am am a master salesman. I'm not a Grant Cardone or Jordan Belfort by any means. It's something that I'm definitely getting way better at. I've improved since I've started with social media marketing. I've hired a sales coach. I've taken a ton of sales courses as well. And so here are a couple things that have helped me to improve, and that I'm constantly doing even now to improve my sales skills and make sure that I'm really like refined, and I'm sharpening blade at all times. So sorry guys, I'm a little sick there. Ignore that. So how to get better at sales. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you the more technical side, like what to focus on. That's more of like the technical things to really like hone in on, like more of like the sales framework. And then I'll go more into like the non technical things that are, I feel, just as important, but no one really talks about. Everyone's kind of like, what do you say when they say this, or how do you, like, what's the script and all that kind of stuff. But I find, some of the things that are just as important are the things that happen that are not being said. And I'll talk a little bit more about that on the next slide. But here's some practical things you could do, and what I've done and continue doing to improve in this skill of sales. So the number one is role play every morning. So Grant Cardone, one of the things he does is he has all of his employees role play with each other. And I know other successful sales teams as well that do this very same thing. I know Danny Morell is another one, who he's a real estate guy who has his team role play the script every single morning with themselves, at least 30 minutes every morning. And I like what one of the guys said, one of Grant Cardone's guys, is that like really it really only takes like a day, and like maybe 2 days, and you already, like the weekend for example, and you already feel like a little bit rusty. So it's really like that kind of shows you like how much you really need like this kind of practice. It's like if you were playing a sport. I know I played football, and I felt, like a little rusty after like a weekend off. So it's the same thing with sales. And so role playing every morning is super crucial, very very important. Or at least having it consistently, where at least you're doing it within your week, and putting in there some way or somehow. The next one is writing down objections. So there really is only a limited amount of ways that people can say like I need to think about it, or like price is too high. Um, so there's a limited amount of objections. The more that you know these objections that are gonna come up pretty frequently, the better that you're more equipped to handle them and then move through them. Obviously, it's never gonna be to a point where you're gonna be at 100% like closing. Like I'd never even heard of that. Um, so it's not for that reason. Like forget 100% closing ratio. No, it's not for that. It's so that you're able to better help these people make a, whether it's a business owner or like whoever it might be that you're going at, like who that you're prospecting to, and getting on a conversation with, to help them through any mental blocks or limiting beliefs that they have. And so writing down those objections and being able to handle them is really going to help as well. I also made another video where I kind of dive a little bit deeper on what you can do if you're getting a certain objection very frequently. So you can go ahead and check that out, which I think might help you if you're seeing like the same thing happening over and over and over again. Another one is refining your sales process. So if you have like a script, for example, that you got from someone, or from like a course that you got, what I would do, and what I've done for mine, is like refining it so that it really is very tailored to your niche. So it really speaks to them. And it also works with you as well, because you don't want to be using a script. I always like to think of it as a framework or a structure, because when you're doing a script, it really becomes depersonalized, and you're becoming more of a robot instead of a person who can relate with these people. So the more that you can like kind of veer off from the script, but and make it your own, while at the same time keeping the structure of how it's gonna go, the better it's gonna be for you in terms of like closing more deals. Now, here's some of the things that are not as technical, but I find are just as important for improving sales. Now, and each one of these things are things that I constantly improve with myself, and I'm also conscious of, because I find it's really really important, and really no one talks about this kind of stuff. It's more so like about the script, but this stuff is really important. And I nailed out to four. I'm sure there's more, but there's really four that come to mind that are really really important to have in a closer, in ourselves, when it comes to closing a deal. And the first one is authority, is having that authority in the call, that hey, this I think one of the best ways that someone explained this to me is that when someone is on a phone call with you, that's basically your office. Like they're coming into your little realm, your little office, and in the form of like a sales phone call here. And so no one's gonna come into your office and basically spit and like basically throw trash all over, right? In the same way, you're not gonna let someone just basically like thrash your authority and basically like be rude or anything like that. You're gonna keep your authority. You're going to keep the frame, as some people would call it, as you're the authority figure. You're the person that hears, that's gonna help them, and you really know your stuff. So authority is really something that is really really important, and it comes across in just like your vibe, for example, but also in like the little things that come across. That's why it's very very important to record your sales calls. So that's why, for me, I have a recording app that basically records all my calls. And I've noticed that in some ways, like, I kind of have found that there's certain subtle things that go on, that I otherwise would not have caught, that like really like bring down that authority. and they're very subtle, but it in certain moments, like especially when it comes down to close, it speaks. Um, it really is a lot louder than we believe, and so and the prospect can pick up on that as well, either subconsciously or consciously. So authority is one that's huge. Empathy is another one. That's why it's really, I always don't think it's not a good idea to follow like a script, because then we're gonna find ourselves to be like very like robotic and not really connect with the person. So having that empathy in the calls is like really important for really connecting with your prospect and being able to really understand where they're coming from and like really what their pain is, and like how you can get them out of that, and really make it in a way that makes them feel like you actually like care, and not makes them feel like, it's just like another sale, right? And it might not actually, be that way from your perspective, but it can come across that way if there's no empathy there, if there's like no really like digging in there, really like trying to figure out like what's it like from this person's perspective. So empathy is huge. One of the things, like I said, not being so tight on the script, putting yourself in their shoes, those kind of things. The other one is expertise, and this could be like, you don't have to be like the number one Facebook ads expert in the world, right? Not even the best like marketers have like 6-figure, 7-figure agencies, or like, any like supremely better at Facebook ads than you or I. There's like a certain limit where like, you just need, there's certain things that you need to know to provide results. And so there's very few people that know Facebook ads or even Google ads to like such a profound level that they know like every little thing. So just keep that in mind. When it comes to expertise, it's really like having that confidence in what you know and what you can provide, what your offer is, and understanding that very, very clearly. So that gets basically projected out towards the prospect, so that they really feel that as well. Your confidence, your clarity, and your consistency throughout the call, so that they feel like, hey, this guy really knows his stuff. And that really comes from knowing and believing in yourself, but also believing in your product, and knowing exactly, what it is that you can provide for them, and what they can benefit from that. One of the things that's helped me with doing this is writing down a list of the benefits that's going to help the prospect if they were to come forward and move forward with doing business with me. And so that really helps with having that confidence and really understanding your value offering. So I would urge you, if you're kind of lacking in that authority or even expertise, then write down like, what value do you provide? Like if it's something that you're charging like 1,500, 1,000, 2,000, 2,500, and then it's obviously something that's very, very valuable, and it basically is a solution for a very like difficult problem that this person is having, this business owner that you're going and setting a phone call with. So I would urge you to really hone in on that and really understand it. The other one is detachment, and this one is really one that could be very difficult, because I know that with the outreach that we do and all that stuff, it really becomes something where like, we have a sales call, we're excited, and we want to work with this person and all that kind of stuff. But the more detached that we become from it, the better that we become as closers. And it really is kind of a paradox where the best closers I've noticed are the ones that are like really like the least detached. It's like the ones that are able to walk away from the deal and not look back. So it really is a matter of just detaching and really trusting in yourself and your ability that there will be, someone else that will say yes to whatever it is that you offer, whatever your unique offer is. And so not detaching to just one deal, and trying to force and make it happen, because that's where you're repelling the prospect, and they can feel that, and whether they know it or not, it just might be something that they feel, and they're just like, nah, like I'm gonna think about it, or just like not yet, or whatever it might be. And it comes from being attached too much. And so that was one of the things that, from my sales coach, he really stressed on, is having that detachment from the sales call, from the outcome. And the same thing could be said about life as well. So having that detachment is huge. So I hope that this was something that really like expanded your awareness on, maybe sales, maybe your sales calls. Maybe I showed you a couple of things to consider, and take these things for your next sales call. Keep them top of mind. And what you'll notice is that really these things are going to come up for you as you say them in the sales call. Meaning that you might say something and you're like, oh, like that kind of like doesn't really like portray me as like an authority. Like I'm kind of like not coming across as someone who's an expert, right? Or maybe I'm like forcing a little too much here. Maybe I need to back off. So I would urge you to really keep this in the forefront of your mind, and also doing the role play every morning, writing down the objections, refining your sales process, and also recording your sales calls is another one that's really, really going to help you because of those subtleties that are going to come up that you otherwise wouldn't have heard in the conversation, because our headspace is really focused on something else, instead of like those little nuances, those little imperfections that we'll catch when we record the sales call. So I hope that this was really, really valuable for you guys. This is another one I'm really passionate about. So I love talking about sales and marketing. It's super exciting for me. So if you guys have any comments about this, maybe you've noticed some of this stuff as well in your sales calls, maybe some other non-technical things as well. If you guys have any questions, just go ahead and leave them down below, and I'll do my best to answer them. And until the next video, I'll see you guys. Bye.